So first off, just kind of like give us the overview of the Nintendo Switch 2.
Yeah, so Nintendo finally announced that there's a new system coming out. They talked about that last year, and this looks very much like an upgraded version of what's already available, as opposed to something completely new. This is something that is going to be playing the same games, but also exclusive games, and looks like it's a little bit bigger. Probably is going to have better graphics, but they were ambiguous about all the other features for it. It just looks like, again, a better version of what people have been using already.
So can you tell me like why people are seem to be so excited about it? I know the Switch is like 7 or 8 years old. Is it just kind of that new console thing?
It is a new console thing, and also it's probably the position that it's in right now because we haven't had a really new console in a number of years. PlayStation 5, the new Xboxes came out in 2020, and so now it's been a while. I mean, Sony had a new pro version of the console last year, but so this is kind of a new moment that we haven't had in a while. And so there's that, and there's also that the Switch is just so popular. It is one of the most popular game consoles of all time, and I think that it's aged. There's a lot of stuff it does well, but there's a lot of stuff that people I think wanted to do better for playing games they can play elsewhere. And so I think there's a lot of excitement about this maybe being that perfect system for them because it can be taken on the go. That's a big difference still between the big consoles like that Sony and Microsoft have, which are big and sit next to your TV.
True. Um, so I know you had mentioned it's going to be able to play the games you already have. That's big, for especially for parents who have a couple games that they already bought. Um, what will be, I mean, is it going to have like kind of like souped up graphics? Will those games, be able, are they going to be like look different or what are those changes going to be?
I'm equally curious about that, and they did not reveal anything really other than a peek at what looks like a new Mario Kart game, which is again one of their biggest system sellers. So that's familiar territory. But reports have said that it's going to do 4K graphics on a TV, which is great because that's overdue. And I think what people look for in cutting edge game systems, and it'll have a larger display with a higher resolution on the go. So those are things that have been out there, but I think will actually make a difference in the games. And according to reports on what graphics it's capable of, it looks like it'll be good enough to play a lot of games that you've been playing on PlayStation and Xbox and maybe even PC that you didn't think you could play on a Switch, and that might even out the levels. I mean, they'll also have exclusives they promised, but I would imagine kind of going into familiar territory there. I think Nintendo likes to play it safe to a degree. New Mario game, new Mario Kart, new Zelda at some point. I do think it has the possibility of upgrading games that already exist. I think there are two Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. There are some games that have been epic, but haven't had epic graphics to the degree that they could. So I think it opens an opportunity for Nintendo to dig into the back catalog and upgrade a lot of its games too.
Cool. Did they say when it will be coming out?
They did not say it was coming when it's coming out. However, there are some clues there. The next time they're going to reveal information on this, it sounds like, is April 2nd, which is a long way away. It's like they put a placeholder in here. And at that same time, from April onwards, they're hosting these hands-on events in various cities, kind of these experiences to play the game, decide for yourself, play all the games that they have for it, maybe. They have a way to sign up for that tomorrow for your free ticket. It's a clever idea marketing wise to do that, and it's not a new thing per se, but they're leading with that. And so I think we're going to end up hearing a lot of the details then, including how much it costs, when it comes out. I would expect it would come out probably later in May. Some people may think it may come out in June, probably before summer vacation. And, it's going to hit that time too, so that maybe they can get supplies ironed out a bit before the holidays. Because that's the thing, is how hard will this be to get? The original Switch was pretty hard to get when it first came out. And I'm sure Nintendo's going to try to address that a bit before the end of 2025.
Yeah, I didn't think that was a thing. I feel like that was more of like a 90s, early 2000s thing where there was like these consoles that you couldn't find.
You'd think that, but then, what's interesting is the Switch was really hard to get at the time. And then also the PlayStation 5 was incredibly hard to get. It was such a big deal that there were whole sites that time dedicated to just how to buy a PS5. There was also the pandemic, so it's hard to tell how that was entangled with things like supply chains, but there can be shortages of these things, and it does feel like an old-fashioned thing to think about, but it could be in play here. Then again, maybe Nintendo is gaming this out so that it's not going to be a hard thing to supply. But I also think it's going to be sold alongside the existing Switch. They haven't absolutely specified that, but the way to which existing Switch games will still be playable and the potential price of the Switch too, it's not necessarily an upgrade for everyone. I can see people still playing the existing Switch, and some of them getting the Switch too, and that's really different than when the Switch first came out, because that had a whole new game library and was not backwards compatible.
Anything else you want to add? Any other details you can share?
People have been speculating about all the surprises it might have. It looks pretty normal for a Nintendo console, and Nintendo likes to take swings on unusual peripherals and strange, fascinating designs. One report says that these Joy-Cons will be used as mice, like an optical mouse. You could move it around on a table. The other thing is it has 2 USB-C ports, which I review a lot of display glasses technology. It might work with glasses so that you could play games on little portable monitors on the go. And I also wonder with those Snap-on Joy-Cons, what other peripherals might be supported, because it's modular and Nintendo might have a few surprises up its sleeve. I don't think this is going to play out as absolutely straightforward as it seems to be right now, based on Nintendo's previous history with product announcements.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining me. That's great.
Yeah, of course.
For your time.